Welcome into another edition of the Blue Coats Beat on DETV. The Delaware Blue Coats, the NBA G League affiliate of the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Blue Coats Beat, an inside look at the Blue Coats in the community and on the court. I'm Matt Murphy alongside, as always, Blue Coats ambassador of basketball, Joe Richmond, and our guest today, Joe, Blue Coats assistant coach Isaiah Fox, who we will get to in just a moment. Coach, so hang on. There's plenty to talk about with you in terms of the big men of the Blue Coats, the hot start for the team so far as we get further and further near the midway point of the NBA G League season. The Blue Coats off to a good start in the year 2020 or 2020. I don't think you need to say 2000 anymore at this point. 2020 has a better ring to it. But, Joe, before we get to Coach and his background and all that, Coats in the community, a staple of this program already, only in episode 3 here on DETV, but what the Blue Coats are up to in the community, the Wilmington community and beyond. One of the programs we touched on with team president Larry Milai in episode 1 was our books and basketball program. And as we record this on Wednesday, you had a visit this morning to Warner Elementary School with mascot Cody along with Aris Watson. You guys were out there. So what was the reaction like today to Cody? Was it a great reaction like always? I can't see any other way.
Man, let me tell you something. It started off with a nice, chill day. And as the kids were even coming into the school, shout out to my man, Dr. New. Thank you for having us. You know, the kids were greeted with high fives, hugs, love. And on the inside, it was just a energetic atmosphere already. And we got to visit 6 classrooms, Matt. And in all those classrooms, Cody was the star. The kids loved him. As always, we do the Cody Dancing Challenge. And no, Warner Thunderbirds, you did not beat Cody today. Man, the book of the day was Hush. And you guys remembered it because I remembered it. I know Cody remembered it. And books and basketball, always we want to shout out Nemours A.I. DuPont Hospital of Children for having us and always being there for us with some great books to give out to the kids. And it was just a great atmosphere today, and it was so much fun.
I would not expect anything less, and we'll have to get Coach Fox out there with us in the community as well coming up soon.
Yo, when they see his big, they will hush.
I want to do the Cody dance.
Well, let's jump right in with assistant coach of the Delaware Blue Coats on Connor Johnson's staff, Isaiah Fox. Coach, thanks for being here. Coach Fox, a former player at the University of Arizona, spent some time recently in the Lakers organization as well. And let's jump into your background, Coach, because there's plenty to talk about there. You're here in Delaware now, but you grew up in California. You coached out there. So what's the adjustment been like to coaching and living in the state of Delaware?
It's definitely the cold. We got back from a trip from Westchester last night. The car had frost all over it. I had to get the scraper out. It was defrosting the windshield. But listen, basketball's basketball. So once we actually get going and, it's tip-off, everyone's getting together. And once we get practicing, it's all about getting the guys better.
And Coach, I say coach to Joe Richmond because you are a former coach yourself, and you're still coaching every day. I saw you talking to some of the players in the hallway from time to time, giving them some pointers as well. But you can relate to that, I'm sure, basketball being basketball wherever you are.
Yes, and as Coach just said, most guys, when you even look in all sports, first, if you guys from West Coast, they like, oh, the East Coast. And when you're the East Coast, you're thinking about, let me get to that sunny side. So I know for Coach, that transition is not as a big thing as most people would think, because like you say, once you get into the basketball side, it's time to go to work.
It's time to go to work, and we got a good team this year. We got a good staff. We got high goals, high expectations. Being a part of the 76er program is great. You get a chance to really learn a lot. So, once we got our season going, it moves like clockwork.
12-8 record right now for the Blue Coats. You mentioned a good season so far and getting things going, a couple of wins in a row, looking for more. We'll get to the schedule later on in the program with some upcoming home games because we want to see everybody in the Wilmington community and beyond out at 76ers Fieldhouse. A great atmosphere. We've had a couple of packed crowds in recent home games, Coach, but I'm not going to let you off the hook before we delve deeper into this year's team.
Here you come.
The warm weather, your California roots. You're wearing them right now. The cameras can't see it, but Coach Fox is a big fan of Crocs, the shoes with the holes in them, the rubberized shoes. How did that come about, and how many pairs do you have? I know you're always looking for more.
Fatigue on that.
I'm not going to show the camera right now. Listen, they're inexpensive shoes. They're comfortable, okay? Easy to slip on, slip off. I don't want to give a Croc commercial here, but they're just my go-to shoes right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Not sponsored or anything. But in terms of basketball, one of the reasons we wanted to have Coach Fox on is because if you get to a Blue Coats practice, or maybe even before or after games, you'll see Coach working with some of these Blue Coats big men. One of the bigger teams in the league, one of the longer teams in the league, and some big-time stats as well at this point in the season. Coach Christ Koumadje coming off 2 games ago, the last home game, a triple-double performance with 10 blocks. And if you were there or you saw the highlights, it was an amazing performance, 12 points, 16 rebounds as well. So what do you make of this big man group with the Blue Coats? Because seemingly every opposing announcer always mentions that it's a taller team than they're used to seeing, and I'm sure the opponents feel that way too.
Listen, we're glad the opponents feel that way. Part of our whole system, our defensive strategy, is to funnel guards into our bigs, and Chris is leading the league in blocks. Our two-way player, Norvel Pelle. We all know, if you've seen him play with the Sixers, he is a natural rim protector. We also have Doral Moore, who just joined us this year, another 7-footer. And, you know, personally, myself, I just love it. The game is so guard-oriented nowadays. It's great to have big men who are affecting the game. And Chris is doing an amazing job along with the others. And I'm proud to be working with these guys.
Joe, some people will say there's a lack of true bigs these days and the way the game is transitioning. But the 3 guys that Coach Fox just mentioned, a lot of them do have that game down low and the ability to make moves on both ends of the floor that kind of resemble true big men. So it's not quite what you're used to seeing for a lot of teams these days at the professional level.
And it's amazing because, you know, as coach, we talked about his background coming out of Arizona. And ain't like Coach is a little guy. He's like 6'9". He's like, you know, muscles and all that good stuff. So, you know, it's nothing for a big to hear from another big. It's just a mentality. And, you know, our bigs are our system is called Mirror the Sixers because they have a big squad now as well. And defenses wins championships. And by him coming out of Arizona, coming out of the Lakers organization, Sixers, he has a championship mentality. And he knows what it's going to take to get those guys to be those type of players and get that in their DNA to know that, hey, we win on this end of the floor, and it really starts with you guys.
I also know that you wanted to ask him about playing for Hall of Fame head coach Lute Olson. So let's find out some of the things from Coach about what it was like to play for Coach Olson.
How was it, man? I really am. I was an Arizona fan. I was a Sean Elliott fan. You know what I mean? I was all that over there. And one of my Harlem Globetrotter comrades, he was a Wildcat as well. How was it, though, honestly, to play for a legend?
Listen, the stuff you just talked about earlier, that championship mentality, that wanting to play late in the season, that stuff got all ingrained in me under Lute Olson. At some times in the season, I didn't like him, but at the end of the day, I knew he was making me a better person, a better basketball player, a better man. And everyone who came to that program went there to be a part of what he was building. It was a very special place, a very special person, someone who I will still to this day look back upon my journey and see how I can dissect some of the things he told me, how I can communicate that to the players we have now. And I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you if it wasn't for him.
Can I follow up real quick? Because the one thing I look because Coach Lute was fiery.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Is that why you and Connor get along so well? Because he kind of got the same characteristics as Coach.
Yeah.
Is that why you guys? Because I see you guys before the players come in. You always doing different things on the court. Everybody else doesn't see that. But is that why you guys kind of blend so well?
I hope so. I mean, Connor in that mold, he sets the bar really high. He knows what he wants, and he's not going to take anything less than that. He's not going to take it from the players, from the coaches. He's not going to take it from the refs. So, you know, Connor in that mold, I like it being clear. And I think he knows what I want. I definitely know what he wants as being the head coach, and it's up to living up to that standard, incorporating that in the players and how we develop them.
Awesome. Awesome.
So we do have one quick hitter question at the very end, at the buzzer, if you will. But before we go there, we talk about Connor Johnson, the head coach of the Blue Coats, and something he does with his assistant coaches that I want to bring up. It's kind of a rotation style. The G League's all about development, and he likes each coach to take control of a specific area of the coaching staff for a certain period of the season. So it's broken down into player development, offense, and defense. How's that rotational system, Coach Fox, been going so far, and where are you at with it right now?
It's going good so far. You know, I guess the 12-8 record would suggest that. Right now, I'm working on the defensive stuff. Last round was player development. So we all rotate, and it's really good because not only do we get to develop ourselves as coaches, but we get to implement things in that side of the ball that we might see. So if whoever has offense, if they see some things, they can implement it. Myself with defense, if I got a suggestion for head coach Connor, he'll listen to it and he might implement it as well. So it's an interesting rotation. You definitely have to work hard. But once you get the flow of it, I think it runs really smooth.
And Joe, it is interesting, and we were exposed to it last year, but to have that rotation, it's good for the development of these coaches.
And I think that's why you see a seamless flow on the court, and you see a seamless flow to the players, and it don't seem like no one's confused. It's like everybody knows what needs to be done, and that's the one thing I noticed this year, that the coaches are it's like everybody has an input, and that input is to the main goal, and that's the win. Right. And that's to get the best out of the players. And you all, even all your assistants, you guys get along. I see you guys always talking, always gathering and coming up with different things and different ideas. How is that played together? That everybody says family,
right?
But the G League is so much transition and over. So how did you develop that family and that chemistry so fast?
Coach. Coach.
I did it.
I'll take it.
He is a coach.
It's hard to really say how that comes together. It came together authentically this year. We all got together early. We were a part of what the Sixers were doing. We were helping them out with their training camp. We got to pick the brain of all their coaches and be around all the Brett Brown meetings. And I think all of us are really passionate about learning and developing ourselves and becoming really good coaches. So when we initially came together beginning of the year, we had a good molding process just to figure each other out, hang out, get lunch, talk about stuff not related to basketball, which really kind of helped us sync together. And, again, once we get started and the practice gets going, players competing, and we all love to compete and we all want to win. So it really made us come to gel together really fast.
Wow.
All right, let's go at the buzzer. The next home game for the Blue Coats, Friday, the 10th of January, 7 p.m.
Heroes and Villains
versus the Grand Rapids Drive. And you're right on, Joe, because it is Heroes and Villains night presented by Nemours Sports Medicine. So our at the buzzer question with Coach Fox, who is your favorite superhero or supervillain? Either or, you can take a pick. I know Batman's going to be out on Friday, Spider-Man, Black Panther. The Joker is a popular villain pick sometimes. We asked our players this question on Media Day. So who's your favorite superhero or supervillain for that matter?
Superhero has to be Superman. He is the truest superhero, all the powers, unstoppable. And then Joker for the supervillain.
There you go. Yeah. Perfect. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm going to check it out.
Okay.
And again, if you want to check out some tickets for that game on Friday the 10th, Sixers.com/Bluecoats. And Joe, I don't want to get the second upcoming home game wrong. So it is Monday, January 20th, our Martin Luther King Day celebration, a 1 p.m. tip against the South Bay Lakers. So a connection to Coach Fox's roots there as well. But some upcoming home games, and we can't wait, right?
Oh, I can't wait. And my favorite is Captain America. That's my man, and my favorite villain is Lex Luthor.
Joe, I didn't ask you.
I just want to Coach to know. I just want to know, Coach.
Good.
He gonna give Superman all it, but no.
That's good.
That's gonna do it, Coach. Thanks so much for joining us on the Blue Coats.
Who's yours, Matty Ice?
Favorite superhero? I'll go Spider-Man.
And your villain?
Joker. I got a compliment. But that's gonna do it, Coach. Thanks so much for joining us on the Blue Coats Beat.
Coach.
Blue Coats Beat on DETV for our entire DETV crew. And, of course, my partner, the Blue Coats ambassador of basketball, Joe Richmond. I'm Matt Murphy, and we will talk to you next time on the Blue Coats Beat here on DETV.